unable to play. How do you, I don't know what to do now, Brew. I feel like you're thrown for a loop.
Well, I think Lamar will play. I mean, he's been sitting out the last, 4 weeks?
They'd always been Wednesdays, though. This is a Thursday, which is odd, but yeah.
If he can't play, they're in trouble.
Okay, the last 4 weeks he has a completion percentage of 56, has 1 touchdown, 5 turnovers.
No, I get that, but he's good enough, and he's still in his prime, where I fully expect him to turn this around at some point. Whether it's this week, next week, whatever. Like, it's like you feel about the Chiefs. Like, until they're out, you feel like, man, their track record, they're going to turn it around.
You're saying about that for Lamar, the player.
Like, he's good enough where I'm just, this is not going to continue. Now, as far as Marlon's quote, I mean, really? Like now? Where was this against Cincinnati? You're, since a divisional opponent in your building.
No way.
Must win? You started 1-5. It's been a must win for 6 weeks. I mean, really?
Nope.
I do not like this, Wilds.
I know you don't like it.
Yeah. I adore it. I adore this. All right? I want to caress this sentiment. I want to dance with this quote. That we must win. Put on a slow jam, Wilds. I'm in the mood. All right? I love that quote.
Break.
You're leaving? That's too much. That was the first time he hasn't tricked you with the misdirection. I saw that. You saw it coming a mile away. You love it, bro?
Yeah, he adores it. He wants to caress it. I want to put some Luther on. That's how I feel about that quote. Yes, finally. Where has this been? Now, if Tyler Huntley's the quarterback,
they beat the Bears with Tyler Huntley.
Something weird. I don't know if you're joking around.
I'm not going to be that confident if Lamar doesn't play. But if he plays, I love it.
I understand the idea of course, Lamar is an all-time great. He is going to turn it around. He's hurt. There's every flashing red light says, I'm hurt. Watch the game. I do not look like myself.
And Nick has kind of made this point. It's something in his legs, the ankle, the whatever it is, the knee, lower extremities. He still should be able to throw the football. And if I'm John Harbaugh, you know what? If I know he can't really move like usual, lean into the run.
I don't know.
You got the best running back of this generation, and Keaton Mitchell's okay too. He had an 18-yard touchdown run against the Bengals. Like, lean into the run and pass just when you need to.
Yeah, there's the Lamar being banged up cannot be an excuse for this level of play. And I think Brew agrees with me on it. Like, it can be.
I mean, he's moving okay.
It can be an explanation for your play dipping. It cannot be an excuse for your play cratering. Just can't be. Like, that's not
unless he shouldn't be playing.
But I guess here would be my point. We've all watched this month of football where he has played poorly. He has not, to me, looked like a player. It's like, my God.
Right.
Why is he out there?
Exactly.
Like, he's not.
But the numbers are telling you that.
Right. So is it, and I guess what I'm saying is it not possible that he's just playing poorly?
This is a profound and unsettling question we must confront. Is it a legitimate possibility that Lamar Jackson is simply performing at a subpar level, independent of mitigating factors? This inquiry hangs in the air. I concur with the sentiment that dismissing his struggles solely with a wave of the hand, "Oh, he's just banged up," feels insufficient and fails to account for the totality of the situation. It seems to be a confluence of elements at play. Consider the contrasting example of Mac Jones, who was visibly and audibly compromised, moving with severe limitations, clearly in significant discomfort, whether from his hip, abdomen, back, or knee. Yet he still managed to display a degree of operational competence, wheeling and dealing within his constraints. He demonstrated something more substantive than what we are currently witnessing from Lamar. And this is the crux. Lamar Jackson is so extraordinarily gifted, so uniquely talented, so categorically elite that our expectations recalibrate. Even operating at less than 100% physical capacity, the anticipation is for a higher caliber of play. The baseline, the absolute floor, should be elevated precisely because he is Lamar Jackson. If this were a quarterback of a lesser tier, a Brock Purdy, a Kirk Cousins, a Baker Mayfield, the context of injury would more readily explain a performance downturn. But this is not that. This is a former MVP, a player who redefined the position. This is why he receives the heavy is the head that wears the crown treatment. The standard is simply different. The question of urgency posed, is this a must-win? Borders on rhetorical. Obviously, the situation is critical. The team is not performing at a level befitting its talent. The sense of impending crisis is palpable. Normally, my instinct would align with a perspective of patience, trusting in the pedigree of the Ravens and the singular genius of Lamar to engineer a turnaround, much as one would maintain faith in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. However, a fundamental distinction exists, one I've highlighted previously. The Ravens have not merely lost games, they have looked fundamentally broken and ineffective across multiple contests. The Chiefs' losses, while notable, do not evoke the same existential alarm. One does not watch Kansas City and conclude, Patrick Mahomes is broken. This offense is a disaster. That diagnosis, however, has been applicable at various junctures for Baltimore. This isn't a perfect one-to-one comparison, granted, due to Baltimore's injury woes and Lamar's intermittent availability. But if we are engaging in honest self-assessment, the level of comfort and confidence one should have in the Kansas City Chiefs' ability to right their ship is significantly greater than the confidence placed in the Baltimore Ravens. A substantial component of that disparity is rooted directly in quarterback performance. At this moment, I am less interested in dissecting the precise, multifaceted why behind Lamar's struggles. My position remains steadfast. He should be performing at a superior level, even acknowledging physical limitations. If his injuries are so debilitating that they prevent this, then the logical conclusion is that he should not be on the field. But from observation, while he is clearly not at peak condition, the visible drop-off does not appear to correlate with a degree of debilitation that would fully explain the profound struggles. He doesn't appear to be laboring in a way that serves as a self-evident excuse. The conclusion, therefore, is that things are simply a mess, an objective, if uncomfortable, truth. The solution is not straightforward. This illuminates a perennial challenge for quarterbacks of Lamar's archetype, a category that includes Mahomes and Josh Allen. The very core of their preternatural excellence, what makes them truly special, is an almost otherworldly athleticism and an improvisational genius, a belief that they can conjure a successful play from any moment of chaos. This is also the reason we are unlikely to see the career longevity of a Tom Brady from this style of quarterback. Brady's superpower was a timeless, precision-based delivery from the pocket, operating at the apex of cerebral execution. His game was less dependent on physical attrition. We see echoes of this challenge even with Aaron Rodgers now. His game, while not reliant on Lamar-esque rushing, incorporated a masterful mobility and ability to extend plays. When that dimension is compromised, even a quarterback of his caliber encounters difficulties. When I reference making plays and mobility, I am not merely citing rushing yards. I am speaking to the holistic, larger-than-life athleticism that defines Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson. Their surreal field vision, their capacity to launch throws from any platform, to evade pressure, to shake off contact. It is an extraordinary, ceiling-shattering skill set. Consequently, when that transcendent physical dimension is diminished, even marginally, the entire offensive ecosystem suffers disproportionately. For a Tom Brady, losing a half step of mobility meant releasing the ball a fraction sooner. He became slightly more susceptible to pressure, but the core engine of his game, pinpoint passing from structure, remained largely intact. For Lamar, a similar physical limitation strikes at the heart of his identity as a player. It is a more consequential subtraction. I want to be explicitly clear. I am not declaring this the beginning of the end for Lamar Jackson. However, I do believe this season has provided us with fleeting glimpses, previews, if you will, of what these spectacularly athletic quarterbacks might resemble as they advance into their mid-30s. We have seen flashes of what Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar look like when they lose a half step, when they cannot consistently be the superhuman versions of themselves we have come to know. These are merely glimpses, not prophecies. I fully expect Lamar to be a better quarterback at ages 33 or 34 than he is in this current compromised moment. But the adaptation required is monumental. The path forward hinges on adaptation, and these are intelligent, skilled players capable of evolution. Lamar is not stubborn or rigid. If he internalizes that he can no longer rely solely on his historic rushing prowess, I have faith he can modify his approach. However, this transition cannot be navigated alone. It necessitates a collaborative effort with a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator who can architect a system that maximizes his evolving skill set, just as Josh Allen requires, and just as Patrick Mahomes has benefited from throughout his entire career. This is not a commentary on Lamar's value. It is an acknowledgement that such a shift is not instinctive for him. Analyst Greg Cosell has often noted that Lamar's game is profoundly instinctual, not built on pure rhythm and timing within a rigid structure. When a player's brilliance is so deeply rooted in instinct and reactive genius, there are inherent limits to what schematic coaching can immediately rectify. This makes the coaching challenge more complex. It may explain why the Ravens' offense currently looks discombobulated. If Lamar is not fully Lamar, it becomes exponentially harder to design a scheme that puts him in positions to succeed, as his success was often predicated on creating outside the design. Conversely, a quarterback like Mac Jones, operating within a Kyle Shanahan system, presents a different dynamic. His skill set is more easily tweaked and managed within a structured environment. This is not a qualitative comparison of talent. Lamar is infinitely superior, but an observation on how different skill sets interact with adversity. For Lamar, it is a perfect storm, a playing style intrinsically tied to peak physicality, a current physical state that inhibits that style, and a schematic situation struggling to bridge the gap. This convergence of factors likely renders him less resilient to the team's current systemic issues. Let me re-emphasize, this is not an indictment of Lamar Jackson's greatness or future. It is a sober assessment of the present reality. It is undeniably frustrating to witness, a deviation from what we expect and hope to see. The logical extreme of this line of thinking leads to a difficult question. If Lamar is not healthy enough to perform near his standard, should Tyler Huntley play? The irony is stark. Earlier this season, when Huntley led a victory, he effectively mimicked a Lamar-light performance. He provided the type of game you expect from the starter. If he could replicate that, a big if, the team could survive. Yet, if Lamar is deemed healthy enough, the preference will always be for him. But that choice carries the prerequisite that both he and the coaching staff reconfigure their approach to find success within new constraints. The simplistic prescription, just lean on the run game, is appealing but often inadequate. Yes, I have been an advocate for a stronger run commitment, as in the 2023 matchup against Kansas City. But it's not a panacea. Lamar Jackson himself is a central pillar of any effective Ravens rushing attack. If his designed runs or run-pass option threat is diminished, you cannot simply substitute Derrick Henry and expect the same defensive stress. Perhaps, given the circumstances, a Henry-centric approach is the immediate solution, but it represents a fundamental shift from the team's offensive identity. The situation is, in a word, bizarre. Seeing the Ravens' performance against the Cincinnati Bengals was jarring. Observing Lamar's current play is jarring. I am actively searching for explanations beyond the facile recitations of offensive line issues and injuries. While those are undeniable contributing factors, they feel insufficient as the core reason. Lamar Jackson is too monumental a talent for his current production and demeanor to be wholly explained by external circumstances. My critique is, paradoxically, rooted in a belief in his almost limitless greatness. I would readily grant every conceivable excuse to a lesser quarterback. But for those anointed as top 3 in the league, the consensus group of Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson, the judgment is harsher, the microscope more powerful. This brings me to a concept I've long pondered: resilience. I have often argued that Lamar Jackson might be the most resilient elite quarterback if placed on a terrible team. His ability to single-handedly elevate a roster lacking a run game, a sturdy line, or elite receivers — imagine him on the Carolina Panthers of recent years or the Las Vegas Raiders — could surpass that of Mahomes or Joe Burrow in similar dystopian scenarios. He can manufacture offense from nothing in a way few can. However, the inverse may also hold a kernel of truth. When Lamar is physically compromised and the team around him is imperfect, he might be the least resilient among his peers in that specific moment. His game is so uniquely tied to his physical supremacy that its erosion has cascading effects that a more traditional pocket passer might better weather. No player can be the best at every single metric under every condition. If that were the case, we'd be discussing a player with a dozen Super Bowl rings. Thus, we find ourselves in a holding pattern, compelled to observe how this complex narrative unfolds. The Baltimore Ravens and their transcendent quarterback are at a fascinating, precarious crossroads. The coming weeks will reveal whether this is a temporary valley or the onset of a necessary, challenging evolution. But those are my extended reflections. I am absolutely eager to hear yours. What is your diagnosis of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens' current predicament? How do you interpret the manner in which this season is unraveling? Specifically, what is your analysis of Lamar's individual performance and its root causes? Please share your perspectives in the comments section below. I read every single comment. Whether you find yourself in alignment or vehement opposition with my viewpoint, let's engage in substantive discussion and passionate debate. Ultimately, let's enjoy the collective exercise of analyzing this great sport. Please consider subscribing. We are cultivating a fantastic community here, and I would be delighted to have you join. The objective is to build a connected space we are all enthusiastic to be a part of, and I believe we are making significant progress. Also, if you could give this video a thumbs up, it genuinely assists with visibility and supports the channel's growth through the platform's algorithm. Thank you so much for your time and engagement. I look forward to connecting with you next time.